This morning I'm speaking to somebody who needs no introduction. Ben Zander, conductor, writer, inspired many managers, inspired many corporations. Ben, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, over the last decade, you've been reaching out to businessmen and corporations. I'd like to focus on that. Why do you think people are inspired by this? What do you convey to them?
Well, a number of things. First of all, they're tired of the old language. They're tired of soldiers and sports people telling them how to run their business. Because, for one thing, the imagery of sports and war is one of winning and of destroying the enemy. That doesn't fit anymore in our time. I had this wonderful conversation with Nelson Mandela, who I met for the first time at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and I said, I'm very honored to meet you, sir, and I want to tell you that you are the first leader of Symphonia. He said, oh, what is that? I said, Symphonia, the sounding together of all the voices. Instead of leading one party against another, you understood that all the voices had to be heard. And he said, I like that. And that's true, that he was maybe the first, maybe the greatest leader of symphony, where the job of the leader is to enable all the voices to be heard and fully expressed. So it's the art of enabling the people in the orchestra not only to play their part and fit in, but actually to feel the music with passion, with energy, with love, with expression, and to give it away. Those are very valuable images for the business world. The other thing that I think people are looking for is passion. They want passion. They want vitality, they want warmth, they want enthusiasm, they want energy. They want all the things in their business life that they also want in their personal life. And so these two things are coming together. And I think the role of music and the arts generally, I can only speak authoritatively about music, which I think is the most powerful of the arts, because it's the only art that deeply affects people's emotions immediately at the moment in a way that no other activity does. And so you get a group of people hearing the Beethoven Ninth Symphony, and the entire audience is lifted to that place of exuberance and energy and joy and possibility. And very few things can do that.
But when I've looked at you working, or when I've seen other conductors working, they tend to be dictators.
Yes. Well, you won't see that in my case, because I've worked very hard at, or should I say, I wouldn't say I've worked very hard, but I've become very clear that my role is to enable the players to be fully expressed, to awaken possibility in other people. And since that's my passion and my conviction, my energy is used on enabling them to be the best they can be. That means that I downplay my dictatorial role. I have to make the decisions. I have to decide on the tempo. But every member of my orchestra has a white sheet of paper on his stand at every rehearsal, and he is free and, in fact, invited to communicate everything that he wants to communicate with me about the music, about the process, about my conducting, about the colleagues, about anything that they want to.
Yeah, but when I look at musicians compared to the managers that we deal with, who are running big businesses, you might only be in a middle level, and you're a general manager of a country. You're running the whole of China. Yeah. And you've got your CEO way over you who's conducting the orchestra. Right. That job is a lot more complex than playing a cello.
It may be more complex than playing a cello. It's not more complicated than conducting a Mahler symphony. In fact, I don't think there's any activity as complicated as that. So what you have to do in order to conduct a Mahler symphony, you've got 100 musicians or 120 musicians, each playing different things, sometimes immensely complex things. Their parts are extraordinarily difficult in themselves. It's extremely difficult to fit them all together, and all of you together are producing an amazing statement about life and humanity for the world, right? All of those things have to go on at the same time. And to be somebody who can do that and have the members of the orchestra feel that they are being cherished, valued, and enabled, that's the ultimate test. And that's a small version of what a political leader does. I don't pretend that they're similar activities, but they have some elements in common.
People are inspired by it.
Yeah.
But what I'm always worried about is that the learning is very simple for somebody who's dealing with a very complex environment. So I understand that they moved,
Yes.
and sometimes to tears. I mean, people are tremendously moved by the thing. It's an unforgettable experience.
Right.
But the learning being transferred into the workplace.
Well, good point. I think that the experience of our 2-hour session is not enough. We have a book, and the book is called The Art of Possibility.
Yes.
And it's a book that you don't read once, you read over and over and over again. And as I always say, I won't be satisfied until when you go to a hotel and you open the drawer, there'll be 2 books. And nobody thinks that the Bible is a simple book. It's very complicated. The ideas are actually very simple, but the manifestation of them in life, whether it's in a relationship between 2 adults or a parent with children or a business or a team or whatever it is, those are very complex issues. And I think that the art of possibility, the whole way of approaching leadership as possibility, is an enormously complex thing. And I think world leaders and business leaders and presidents of companies can gain enormously by thinking through the practices of possibility. And I think my sense is, in fact, I'm convinced of it, that more and more and more it's spreading out into the world and replacing the hierarchical, I'm right, I will dominate you and you will follow the rules that I set. That mode has served humanity for 100,000 years. I think people are saying it's not working.
Great. Ben, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.